are sitting here with Mr. Alfred Edmond Jr. Immediately following the news conference where you all announced your third African American financial experience. So we're here continuing the conversation, of course, because we had a lot of questions come in from Twitter. I know you're very active on Twitter. Thank you so much for sitting here with me today.
It's my pleasure, Hania.
So one of the first questions we had comes from Leslie Simmons, and she asked, what's the significance of this survey? It's a two-part question. How can people put the findings to use for greater wealth?
The biggest significance of the survey is that Prudential recognizes that financial acumen doesn't stop with financial education. In other words, it's not just what we know about money, but how we experience and how we feel about money. And African Americans have certain cultural experiences and other experiences that makes it very unique how we interact when it comes to money. So understanding our experiences with money is a big key to helping us to make better decisions with money.
And I know you all said this is of course your third survey. How can people take these findings and apply them to the right now?
Well, I think there's two major lessons that we need to look at that I really feel strongly about throughout my career as a business and financial journalist. One, the African American community has to now focus as much on long-term goals and long-term planning as we do on the short-term needs of our families and those we care for. The survey shows we have great confidence with regard to managing our current needs financially. We're not quite as confident about long-term planning and needs such as retirement planning and wealth preservation and passing on wealth to future generations. The second most important message, one I've been hammering home for a very long time and I'm going to continue to, is that we in the African American community have to begin to see having a financial professional, a family financial planner, the same way we see having a family physician. Once upon a time, it's very interesting how it parallels the results of this survey. We thought having a family doctor was only for rich people, and that if you were poor or you were working class, you just relied on home remedies, or you just don't get sick.
You just don't go.
You're right.
Yes.
And if you went to the emergency room, and now we've reached a stage where we recognize that having a family physician, taking our health care seriously, investing in it is important. And I think the next stage in what this survey points to is the need to really look at financial advisors, financial planning, financial professionals. Having someone to work with us on that level is the same thing.
There is a lot of discussion around millennials, the millennial generation, how they can be prepared financially. I know you spoke to how it's a generational thing where we need to be prepared like that. So gentleman Dwayne asked, what efforts is Prudential making to reach out to millennials and younger generations to get them stable? And I say that with adding on, college expenses, and you get out of college, you think about the fact that some folks are just trying to get a job. They're not really planning for the long-term financial aspect of it.
Well, first of all, Prudential is doing some very specific things targeting millennials, and I happen to be very familiar with one of them. Prudential, in partnership with Black Enterprises, is presenting New Faces of Wealth. If you follow the hashtag on Twitter, New Faces of Wealth, where we're highlighting the challenges being faced by millennials and other populations around how do I get serious about financial planning now, not just how do I pay the bills today and maybe a student loan, but what's the long-term things that I can be doing. The truth is that no matter where you start, it's better to start sooner rather than later. In other words, even if you only put $25 a month away toward retirement savings, you will still be further ahead than if you wait until you quote unquote make more money and then you have to put in 5 times as much to try to catch up, if you will. And unfortunately, we forget that the benefit of investing is time. Okay. So the earlier you start, the further ahead you'll be, even if you can only put a little bit aside at a time. Okay.
Talk a little bit about the people that were surveyed and what these numbers mean for this survey.
Well, they surveyed about a little over 1,000 people, as well as about 500 people in the general population. So they got some really great results in terms of the comparisons. And the really good news is that we are confident about money. African Americans are more confident about money and finances than probably any previous generation. And we understand that budgeting, saving, managing our resources in a real credible way is very, very important to our overall progress in our community. Again, the new challenge is recognizing that it's not about just current needs, it's about future goals. It's not just about making a living. So making a living is the first level. The next level is getting rich, which is how well am I living in the current day? What can I enjoy? Now we have to graduate to what Black Enterprise has championed for a long time, multi-generational wealth. Now, multi-generational wealth is not mansion and yachts. Multi-generational wealth is, I know my retirement is covered. I know I have an estate plan that helps preserve my assets for future generations. And I think millennials in particular are starting to think about that, even if they don't feel so confident about taking action on it yet.
Okay. And what are some of the things that people can do right now to start preparing for the long term? Like if you just say it was the top 5 things that people can start doing to make this plan. It's easy to sit down and say, okay, I want to start saving money. But I think it's bigger than that. What should people start doing? How should the conversation
start? The big
start?
ones for me is kind of 3 things. One, even if you don't think you're ready for a financial planner, get a financial planner. Get someone who can work with you, start from where you are. Yeah, you got student loans. Yes, you're trying to accomplish certain goals, but you'd be surprised how confident you become when you actually have a plan of action to work with. So don't think, oh, when I get rich, I'll get a financial planner. Think the other way around. If I had a financial planner, I could achieve my financial goals more quickly. The second thing is to really be committed to 2 things. Retirement savings. Again, the younger you start, the faster to build up, the less money it'll take than if you wait. And emergency savings. Really, that whole pay yourself first rule is really critical to say, I got to put some money aside so that if something does go left, I have 6 months of cash sitting to the side, readily available to tide me over until I can recover. And if you do those 3 things, really use financial professionals to help you plan, not necessarily help you invest right away. A lot of people, I don't have money to invest. No, in the beginning, you're just trying to have a plan of action. So you start there. You stay serious about retirement planning now, not wait until you're 40 or 45, and really always sock away at least 5% and ideally 10% of every dollar you make. Put it aside into an emergency account that you can't touch easily. Don't attach it to your ATM card.
Just out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, because, and if you make it automatic, then you don't have to think about it. And then you'd be surprised how you'll be like, oh my God, I lost my job, or I don't want to keep my job, but I know I can make it for 9 months to find something else I want to do without it being a catastrophe.
Well, I really appreciate you sitting down with us. I think those top 3 things that you just mentioned are, like you said, critical and key to making sure that people, I'm going to take your advice.
Well, here's what you really want. The biggest benefit of planning and budgeting is peace of mind. It's not tossing and turning in the middle of the night
Thinking
because you don't know how you're going
to
Exactly. It's not worrying I can't get sick or I can't get married or I can't buy a house because I don't have a plan of action. So again, it's not about having more money. It's about having a plan for what you do with the money that you have. DeForest Suarez, Dr. D.B. Suarez, who is works with Prudential because he has the D-Free program, which is really focusing on people getting control of their finances through faith-based organizations. And he has this quote that I share on Twitter all the time. Not having what you need is sad. Not using what you have is sadder. And financial planning is about saying, let me see what I have that can get me to where I want to go.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate you sitting down with me.
Oh, my pleasure.
And if you want to make sure everyone, if you want to continue to follow along the discussion, it's #PruAAFE.